Everybody holding Bitcoin needs to know this. We ended up finding support of 22.7, which is exactly what we've expected, but we've now found resistance at 23.8, which is also exactly what we expected. Just go back and watch the previous video. You'll know that that was a very clear prediction that I made, and we are now pretty much range bound. But the reason that this is important is it's a Monday. This is a brand new trading session for the week, and at the moment we're seeing some interesting price action with some interesting developments with the S&P 500. Now, just at the beginning of this trading week right here, we saw the market massively, the index massively gap up and then pull back a little bit on a day where the dollar actually pretty much topped out exactly where I was warning you guys. Take a look at this green box right here, sitting at about 105. The dollar previously found resistance here as recently as the very beginning of this year, 6th of January, and again just now earlier today, which is absolutely great, guys, because it's showing us that we are responding to resistance levels very well. And the reason this is very important for Bitcoin holders is that if we do see a deeper pullback for the dollar, this could result in a nice rally for the S&P 500, and it's already at a pretty good place to start bouncing up, right? This green box that I've had drawn for a little bit of time now has been resistance for the S&P 500 going back to early 2021, and then again we were interacting with it all throughout 2022 as well. Definitely an area that would make sense to find a little bit of support, and it also lines up with this red line, which was previously resistance but now potentially turning into support for the S&P 500 as well, after getting rejected at the very same level that we were looking at. Everything is really, in my opinion, coming together to build a very bullish picture for the S&P 500, in my opinion. And the reason that that is very important is that if we do see bigger moves up for indices like the S&P 500, well, that probably means that we're going to see a little bit of nice follow through for Bitcoin as well. And if that does also coincide with the dollar dropping, again, we've just got so many different signs firing off on all cylinders, showing us that we are looking pretty damn good. Now, I'm not too fond of this in particular for Bitcoin's chart though, and the reason for that is if we look at the 4-hour EMA ribbon, we are now encountering resistance, and we're finding resistance at these resistance levels as well. And you know, if we were going to be particularly bullish, then we might not be getting rejected from, I mean, this EMA ribbon doesn't even have a massive spread, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that we would be showing such signs of, dare I say, weakness right now. You know, at the very same time, also just getting this resistance, this rejection in and of itself isn't particularly building confidence in my head, you know what I mean? I mean, look, it's okay, it's not the end of the world, but what it does mean is that we've basically entered a short-term downtrend from this point. We've been moving downwards, we're now finding resistance at areas that we were previously finding support at. Again, this doesn't have to be the end of the world. We can still definitely climb above this resistance level at 23.8, and if we do, I think it's going to be just flying colors. I think Bitcoin is just going to go Bitcoin is just going to go full send, to be honest, just absolutely skyrocket up towards 25k. I think, you know, certainly would be possible for Bitcoin. You know, but then at the same time, we look at things like the S&P 500 again, and this is what I really want to draw your attention over to, is that it could still drop down by a little bit. You know, I mean, it doesn't need to hit these support areas exactly. This would be the best level to fall down to, obviously, or just anywhere along this line. But you know, coming, you know, within 1% of it, you know, above or below is still very much possible, and that does mean that we could still have quite a big drop to go for the S&P 500. And I think it's also worth pointing out with the dollar that, you know, we didn't quite get into the green box. Now, in my opinion, this is good enough as far as a rejection goes. I mean, we weren't even 0.1% away from the box the way I've drawn it, but I do still think that penetrating this box a little bit more could make some sense for the dollar, and I think some more continued downside for Bitcoin also makes sense, right? Even if that means just falling down to the support area again, I think it would make a lot of sense if Bitcoin is able to do something like that, purely because we're not really seeing things drop too hard in terms of sentiment. Now, if we want to see a little bit more follow through towards the upside, we need to see sentiment reeling itself in a little bit so that we have great opportunities to make money in these markets. I want to very quickly show you something as well, which I think you're going to really enjoy, and then we're going to come right back to the video, and this is all about some cool opportunities for you to generate some cash as well. Okay, real quick, I know that we all like free money, and Verasity is something that you're going to be interested in because you have access to 2 prize pools just for clicking a few buttons. Very, very cool. This is a project that's actually basically removing the ability for fake video views to count towards the view count, and it's a real thing. They've actually already started. They've made quite a bit of revenue, and from that, they've already burned $500,000 of their token as well from this quarter, which is very impressive because it means they're kind of up and coming. And where this requires your attention is they're actually trying to get listed on Bybit, but in order for them them to do that, they need to be voted for. Now, this is where you come in, because you have access to up to $100,000 in a reward pool just for participating in this, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second, and for leaving a very simple tweet that looks exactly like this. Literally tell them you came from me, that you voted, attach a screenshot showing that you voted under this tweet. You're going to find everything in the description down below. Doing this will get you access to a $10,000 prize pool, that's guaranteed, and doing this, voting for them, will get you access to a $100,000 prize pool as well. We're very, very cool. So all you got to do to participate is log into Bybit. You've already got an account if you've been watching me for a while, and then make sure you hold one of these stable coins at this date and time. Very, very important. Basically on the 1st of March, make sure you hold at least one of these tokens. The more you hold, the better, because your vote is proportional to it. And then all you've got to do is head on over to the Buy Votes portal right here. You can see the last one already happened right here. They also had a prize pool. This happens a lot. It's been going on for a very long time, and now is your chance to get involved in the very same thing. Literally, just by participating in this, you're going to help to get Verasity listed on Bybit. You're also going to get their token. If they get listed on Bybit, they're probably going to explode in value. Probably going to explode in value anyway. And again, what's really, really cool is this is just a few buttons that you have to click to get more money in your trading account, which is exactly what you want at a time like this in this market. So definitely check this out, and let's get right back to the video. Now, bringing it back to the video right here, this is where I think we could be looking at really ripping some nice gains in the market, and it is where, if we do end up coming back down to this area of support and then failing it, we do have a nice big gap. This is the very same gap that I've been speaking to you guys about for a very long time. You know, same gap up here as we have over here. Anything in the middle, in my opinion, is basically going to be a no trade zone, unless I'm looking at longing this bottom line here at 22.7 and shorting this top line here at 23.8. These are the two trade setups that I think could work out really nicely in this range, and it's not too bad at all, actually. If you look at the top of this line down to where we are right now, this is already a 2% drop, and with a nice little, you know, 10x leverage, definitely nothing too crazy for this kind of range, in my opinion, especially considering it's quite tight. This would have already netted a 20% profit, which is absolutely great. It really does work out quite nicely. You already know where you can trade these kind of setups and trade them basically risk-free with really, really nice rewards as well, all linked in the description down below. You know, very, very nice setup there, and if we do manage to play that all the way down, that is a very nice 4.5% range. And what I really like about this is that it's not too hard to set a stop loss. You know, if you look at the wicks that kind of dropped us below this support range, I think just kind of a little bit lower than this, you know, we're looking at no more than like 2% below our support level, where, you know, it might be appropriate to set a stop loss if we end up dropping, which is okay. I mean, you know, we've got basically a 2-to-1 risk to reward. It's not amazing, but it's certainly not bad. You know, we start, you know, I think the best trades are generally going to be 3 to 1 and above, meaning for every dollar you risk, you stand to gain $3. On this occasion right here, you know, if our maximum risk is going to be around 2% and our maximum reward is going to be around 5%, 4%, we're looking at like 2.5 risk to reward. It's okay. You know, I mean, it's not too bad. Definitely good enough, I think, in a range like this, especially if you think we are going to be stuck range bound for a little bit, which kind of looks like it could be the case. You know, again, looking at things like the S&P 500, I'm not necessarily, you know, like the week started off by gapping on upwards, but then, you know, we've pulled back a little bit. So, you know, if we were going to see more volatility, then we probably just would have, you know, carried on a little bit higher throughout the course of today's trading session, which isn't over yet, by the way. You're going to see how this progresses over the next little bit. You know, it's not quite over, which means to me that we could definitely still, you know, look at rallying up a little bit, maybe throughout the course of today. Definitely not this high. I don't know why I pointed up there, you know, but it also does look like the dollar, the S&P 500 does just want to consolidate a little bit, and with the dollar being a little bit confused, I think that might also make a little bit of sense. You know, like I said, penetrating this resistance box a little bit more might make some sense for the dollar in this particular situation. And purely, you know, I mean, the reason for me saying that right here is because we didn't quite get up in there in the first place, and, you know, some pullbacks along the way are actually pretty common. We've seen this happen a good number of times. Now take a look at this: 1, 2, 3-ish, 4, and, you know, kind of number 5 right now. So you know, and that's just basically since the beginning of this month. So I think that would make a lot of sense. You know, the other thing that is also catching some of my attention is that we're basically right up at the end of the month right now, which means that we are printing some very interesting monthly candles. Now we've literally only got tomorrow left in this month, and take a look at this. The dollar has printed a bullish engulfing candle right here, showing us that the dollar has a lot of bullish momentum right now, which could make things worse for Bitcoin in the short to mid-term, probably more like mid-term, which is actually quite concerning, to be honest with you guys. You know, I think that bottom line, if the dollar basically reversed up here and we're now in a downtrend, this is about as high as I want to see the dollar getting. I have drawn this resistance box up here at 110 as well. Definitely an area that we could see the dollar rise up to, but like I said to you in the previous video, if the dollar does manage to get up this high, it's probably going to mean something really bad for Bitcoin. It's probably going to mean Bitcoin dropping down to $20,000, $19,000, which, to be honest with you guys, in and of itself isn't the most concerning thing in the world to me, but I don't want to see us dropping down that low anyway, just because, you know, I think that it's going to be very easy for weakness to creep back into this market. You know, I think that's something that's really important to keep in mind. You know, while we're up at, you know, $25,000, it's pretty easy to say that, you know, pull back down to, you know, $20,000, $19,000 would be nice. You know, like, we've got a lot of distance from it psychologically, and just really, you know, in terms of percent, we're quite far away from these kind of, you know, relatively low price ranges, so it's quite easy to talk about them when we're up here. But if we do actually see that drop happening and materializing in real life, I don't know, I think a lot of people are actually going to be quite shaken out by something like that, and understandably so. You know, this at the moment is so far, you know, very much still shaping up to be one of your typical, you know, we've taken a leg down, you know, and now we're just kind of forming some sort of a, you know, a rising wedge, something where the market kind of challenges our current direction, which is downwards, but then we end up continuing to drop a little bit lower, right? These kind of things do certainly still look possible to me. And like I said, the main reason that I'm outlining this kind of idea, I'm not actually particularly bearish, but the main reason I'm outlining this kind of idea is that we have basically been in a very short downtrend since this high right here at 25k, and it makes sense that it triggers some sort of a pullback, right? You know, and now we're just range bound within, you know, I mean, anything that we do in a downtrend, right, if we kind of fight the trend and move up, or if we just kind of trade sideways, it's all generally going to be a precursor to more price action towards the downside. And that's basically what I think we could be looking at right now if we end up continuing this bearish trend right here. We need something to change. We need to see, you know, perhaps some really nice follow through on the S&P 500, which we haven't seen yet. We need to see a deeper pullback for the dollar, which we are starting to see right now, but again, it's not quite there yet. So you know, there is still some room for interpretation here. Still though, I think lots of opportunities shaping up in this market, and definitely an exciting time to be tuned in right here. I also want to remind you guys, on the topic of being tuned in, that I am going to be making that massive bull case video for you guys probably later on today, so definitely make sure you don't miss it by double checking that you're subscribed and that you've got the bell notification icon checked. If you do want to jump inside of my Telegram channel, you're also going to be getting updates from myself and my team around the clock with just more free analysis and insights into the markets that we are producing. If you like these videos, you're going to love the Telegram channel, because it's just more of what you like, and that is absolutely phenomenal. So go ahead and check it with the link in the description down below. I'll see you all in the next one though. I do want to keep this one relatively short. The next videos are going to be absolutely enormous. If you are excited for them, do me a favor and smash up the likes on this one right here. You know exactly what to do. Other than that though, and thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.